Charter, if you're free later, would you like to have a drink at the tavern?
Are you courting a knife here, Scuffler?
No, I don't know. I used to... The summons. I can't talk with them anymore. Yes, I'm sorry. You understand. Listen,
Go in peace, Herald of Andraste.
With passionate breath does the darkness creep?
The Inquisition appreciates your assistance in this matter, Lady Corbin. And my miners appreciate your business. You'll have your lyrium by the end of the week. I should tell you, Ambassador, the Chantry raised some fuss when they learned about our arrangement. The Inquisition must certainly seem an audacious idea to the Grand Clerics. We hope to convince them it is a necessary one as well. I'll take my leave. Good day.
Who was she, Ambassador?
A merchant. I thought we should reach out to the dwarves to secure lyrium for the Inquisition's mages. According to Lady Corbin, it raised the ire of the Chantry.
Oh.
Access to lyrium makes us rather more formidable than anticipated. We're becoming a challenge. Sadly, the remaining Grand Clerics appear to be consolidating the Chantry's power, instead of comforting the masses.
The Chantry couldn't solve its own problems when it had a divine.
Yet many people continue to bear it great love. We will not benefit from its decline. Little but the Chantry ties Orlais, Nevarra, Ferelden, Antiva, and even Rivain to a common cause.
Has the Chantry truly promoted such peace?
Andraste's chant is familiar across kingdoms, a source of many shared customs. That is the crucial point. Common ground is the start of all negotiations.
Are you sure? Families often fight the hardest.
Having grown up among four siblings, I concede your point. I found, however, that the only time two parties cannot negotiate is when they cease to speak. We must learn to think beyond our own wants to secure peace in Thedas.
How did someone so lovely and selfless go into Orlesian politics, Lady Montillier?
Well, that is, really, you give me too much credit. While you're here, I do have a question. The remaining Grand Clerics sent a missive inquiring about the events at the Temple of Sacred Ashes. They demand to know whether the Inquisition officially claims that Andraste saved you from the breach. If it were up to you, how would you reply?
Will my answer change your reply to the Chantry?
If Leliana, Cassandra Cullen, and I could agree on our official stance, I could answer that. We should decide soon. The revered mothers don't seem to know what to make of you.
I'll tell the Chantry I was saved by circumstance, not divine intervention.
Yet as rumors your Andraste's herald grow, the Grand Clerics may not believe such a humble reply. A difficult situation, and I thank you for your answer. A good day to you.
Yes. Good.
Greetings.
What do the people make of us?
We've gathered many favors among the nobility. They will be gently reminded of this.
Any thoughts on the people here?
Who did you mean?
You must have an opinion of Dorian.
Who hasn't? The man could cause a scene standing quietly in the center of an empty room. Still, I do believe he has your best interest at heart, for all that he delights in mocking them from time to time.
Let's speak later.
Another time.
If you find anything, please bring it in. I understand you were instrumental in garnering the assistance of the rebel mages. It is well done. And I pray this Inquisition fares better than the Chantry in its handling of magic.
You disapprove of something the Chantry did. Are you allowed to do that?
That largely depends upon one's company. While surrounded by those declared heretics already, I am safe enough. In some ways, Andraste had the simpler task. Magic should serve man, and not rule over him. That tells us what should be, but it does not tell us how to get there. So many times the methods of men have undone the spirit of their goals. Once you have sealed the breach, we shall see whether this Inquisition is truer to the Chantry, or its own namesake.
Can you tell me how our people are doing?
What would you like to know? And...
You seem happier here without Templars.
And you are certain we can trust them?
In the circles, I saw Templars threaten mages with death or tranquility. They kept the beatings from me, but I saw the bruises. And worse. Andraste said that magic should serve man. It never said that the mages must live in fear.
So you trust them?
I trust them to serve us more faithfully than they would as prisoners.
It seems Blackwall knows nothing about the disappearance of the Grey Wardens. It's a disappointment. I am, however, glad that he is with us. Even if he was not what I expected. He seems to be a good man, and his experience will be an asset to the Inquisition. As for the other Wardens, I suppose we will have to keep looking.
In Redcliffe, you sacrificed yourself so that I could return here.
Of course I did. One small life in exchange for a second chance at history. I always loved a bargain.
It was still a sacrifice, and still noble.
And I would do it again.
Anything I should know?
Altegan has returned to Redcliffe Castle and resumed his duties as Lord. The people are returning, slowly but surely. Unfortunately, our show of support for the mages has angered many.
Anything I should know?
I've nothing to report at the moment.
The Mage Rebellion joins the Inquisition. I've got to admit that's a twist I didn't see coming. One thing you saw in the future worries me. I mean, it was all bad. But Red Lyrium and Ferelden, infecting people and growing out of them, that's bad. Finding more of it really punches a hole in my Red Lyrium at the temple was a coincidence theory.
How long does it take for red lyrium to grow? How fast can it spread?
It took years to infect people in Kirkwall, but no one there was actually ingesting the stuff. This Elder One managed to take the worst thing I can think of and make it worse. That's an accomplishment.
We can't leave a single piece of that lyrium out in the wild.
I'm with you on that. I've got people trying to find out where the red stuff came from. I think maybe we should make that a priority. But that's enough doom and gloom. You just won a big victory for the Inquisition. What are you going to do to celebrate?
That's a good point. We should celebrate. A banquet. Something like a banquet.
A word to Josephine, and I bet she could arrange anything. Things should be calm around here for at least the next hour. Take a moment to enjoy it. If the world's about to end, I'm sure the Seeker will let us know. Need something?
I want to know more about red lyrium.
I'll tell you what I can.
I think that's enough on...
Yeah.
Just rumors.
So, this is it, huh? Oh no, it's fine, yeah? It's just, I thought it'd be bigger. Hear that? I meant the stronghold, but it sounded like... Well, it's funny, right? Anyway, stopping wars should earn more sovereigns than this. Need things back to normal for coins to be flowing again. Another reason the Templars and mages need to be sat down.
The Templars and the mages. Most people pick a side.
Most people are stupid.
But where do you stand on the war?
In the frigging middle with everyone else. You know what I hear about mages? Nothing, until one goes all demony. Know what I hear about Templars? Nothing, until they take maybe mages. They're too busy to look up where the real questions are.
Is there something else you're looking for? Like, what's behind all this?
Maybe. I don't know. First things first, right? I help you, march, arrow, kick. Then people stop being stupid, and everything starts to make sense again. Sound good to you, all-chosen Lord Herald?
I'm ready to give it a shot. That's all I can ask from anyone else.
I'm in. It's an investment, yeah? Better pay off, too. Stupid war and everything. I had things to do.
Listen, I'm not saying that the Chantry doesn't do good work, but there's more to life than singing. You used to feel that way too.
So we have gained the mages. Excellent. They should be able to seal the breach. You are certain you experienced time travel? Could it have been an illusion? A trick of the Fade?
I've been to the Fade before. I'd know it.
Point taken. What an amazing gift. It is vital the Inquisition succeed to avoid the future you witnessed.
I'm surprised you're not more interested in your own future.
I know enough. If that future happened, then I, and Cassandra, Cullen and the rest, failed to stop this Elder One. Speaking of which, you should ready yourself.
For?
This Elder One. You have now interfered with his plans twice. Once at the Temple of Sacred Ashes, and now again at Redcliffe. A being who aspires to godhood is unlikely to ignore such an affront. What can I do for you?
We'll talk later.
Goodbye.
The Inquisition supports free mages. What's next? Elves running Halam-Sharal? Cows milking farmers?
I take it you don't agree?
On the contrary, I approve. Heartily. I do wonder if you've considered what this support of yours will do. For mages in general, I mean. The Inquisition is seen as an authority. You've given southern mages license to, well, be like mages back home.
What would be wrong with that exactly?
Nothing, at first. Thing is, the Imperium was once just like the South. Templars, proper circles, all that rot. Then it changed, by inches. Not that this is reason to oppress us. Still, my homeland should be a cautionary tale, not a source of inspiration.
I'd like to ask you about Tevinter.
Ah, yes. Everyone outside the Imperium always seems quite fascinated by it. Probably why they come up with so many ridiculous tales. Flying cows over Minrathous. That's madness. All right, that one's actually true, but the cows didn't have wings. I digress. Anything in particular you wanted to know?
It seems strange that an entire empire would be ruled by mages.
Strange? Why are you less qualified to rule than some tart with a fancy craft? Actually, the fiction in the Imperium is that mages don't rule. The Magisterium rules. That magisters are all mages is considered a convenient technicality.
What is the Magisterium exactly?
The upper house of the Imperial Senate, and the only part worth having a seat on. Those seats are split among the circles of Magi, the Chantry, and the major families. All mages now. It's odd that outside the Imperium, you use Magister like it applies to every Tevinter mage.
If you're not a Magister, then what are you called? No special title?
I'm an Altus, which is almost as good as a Magister, depending on who you ask.
I've never heard of an Altus.
Upper class. Those families who trace descent from the Dreamers, the first prophets of the old gods. If you're a mage and you're not Altus, then you're later. Lower class. If you're not a mage at all, you're Soperati. That's everyone else. We do love our fancy words.
I thought the Archon ruled over the Imperium.
Well, yes. Technically, he can overrule laws passed by the Magisterium, but that never happens. Even so, he gets to appoint new Magisters, which means all the families vie madly for his favor. Thus, the Archon gets invited to all the parties. The truest path to Tevinter influence, let me tell you.
If it's a fiction, that means mages do rule then.
Yes and no. Let me put it this way. Mages do rule, but not all mages are equal. If you're not from the right family, chances are you don't rule anything. Maybe you're even a slave. The idea that anyone could be a mage, however, keeps the masses placated.
Can anyone be a mage?
Technically. The potential runs mostly in bloodlines, but it's been known to happen. More importantly, commoners believe it can. Tevinter legend is chock full of mage heroes from humble origins. So they hold out hope. Someday my son or my son's son will be a mage. Someday. Poor sods don't realize that means he'll be a quaestor at the arse end of the 100 Pillars, at best.
Being a quaestor isn't a good thing.
I imagine the average non-mage likes to think so. Counting numbers and shuffling papers all day is better than many occupations after all. If you're a second-class citizen among a pack of piranha, however, your outlook changes.
Let me ask you something else.
Of course.
There's an Imperial Chantry, isn't there? With its own divine.
You people aren't supposed to talk about the Black Divine, are you? If you mention him outside the Imperium, people make that face, like you're urinating in public. But yes, we do have the Chantry, or a version of it. Night and day comparing it to yours.
Is the Imperial Chantry so different from ours?
Not in theory. The main difference is in the whole magic is meant to serve man, not rule over him business. Back home, ruling the unwashed masses is serving them, for the good of the Imperium. Perhaps it started with good intentions, but these days it's academic. The circles are in command.
There are circles of magi in the Imperium.
We don't have dismal little mage prisons, if that's what you mean. They're academies, prestigious ones. We have Templars as well, but they don't cancel spells or whatever your Templars do. They're soldiers.
They don't use lyrium.
Ha! As if there'd be any left for them. They watch for abuse of magic, yes, but only those who are weak or who fall out of favor get dealt with. Mostly they enforce their magisterium's edicts. The Chantry smiles and nods from the sidelines.
Do you really call him the Black Divine?
We don't call him that, oh no. In the Imperium, he's the true Divine. The woman sitting on the Sunburst throne is some backwater pretender. It all stems from a disagreement over Andraste. Marvelous, isn't it?
Why would they disagree over Andraste?
It's not my field of expertise, but the Imperium believes Andraste was a mortal woman, a mage. Down south, they say, no, she's the bride of the Maker, ascended to his side, divine provenance, a blah blah blah. We feel better believing Andraste was one of us. Makes executing her less damning, you see. So we elected a man as divine, the South declared war, and we've been feuding cousins ever since.
So the Imperial Divine is always a man?
All the better to distinguish him from that other one, yes. Don't think there aren't a number of female magisters who bristle at that. Why can't they be divine after all? Same reason you never see a man on the Sunburst throne. Because that's how it's always been done. Excellent reasoning.
Do you consider yourself Andrastian?
The big question. It might surprise you that I do consider myself Andrastian. I simply do not believe in the Chantry. It is a relic, whether back home or here in the south. Something from a bygone age desperately clinging to relevance. It's not an opinion that makes me popular.
I share your opinion, actually.
That's not surprising, considering what the Inquisition represents. I'll say this. I may not believe in the Chantry, but I believe in you.
In me?
That the Maker sent you, whether through Andraste or fate. Cassandra is not wrong. You are what we needed most at the moment we needed it. That's what they will say in ages to come.
I'm not sure about that myself.
Doubt is good. I like doubt. It will keep you sane. Me? I've seen too much to believe I know everything. The world is bigger than I. Even bigger than you. It laughs at all the things we think we know. The Maker doesn't need me to believe. But I do. The thought of no one at all watching out for us is too frightening.
Let me ask...
So many questions.
I'm wondering if the Imperium would be a useful ally.
I think you'd be more concerned whether or not they'd support the Venatori. They won't. At least, not officially. They'll disavow all knowledge of dangerous cultists. Secretly, many Magisters will rejoice at the idea. And if the South falls to chaos in the meantime, all the better.
It would be in the Imperium's best interest to help. Surely it could use allies.
I think the Imperium gave up on the idea of allies a long time ago. We've been fighting the Qunari for what, 200 years off and on? It's a point of pride that we go it alone. They'll sneer at the South behind their silk handkerchiefs and say, "You've had it easy for far too long." Let's not forget that the Inquisition seems to be an arm of the Orlesian Chantry. Anathema so far as they're concerned.
We're not part of the Chantry. The Chantry opposed the Inquisition's formation.
You think that matters? Don't be silly. The Herald of Andraste. Your very title smacks of the Southern Chantry. You may as well be a heathen. I think they're far more frightened what you'll do if you succeed.
Just how often is blood magic used there?
Oh, not at all.
Not at all.
That's what any Magister would tell you. They'd be convincingly offended by the notion, too.
Of course, what people call blood magic here, and what we consider blood magic, are two different things.
What's considered actual blood magic in Tevinter?
Blood magic isn't inherently dangerous. Using your own blood or that of a willing participant, what's the harm? The problem is that what's permitted only gets you so much power. And what if you need more? You always need more. That's where we get into sacrifices and demon summoning. None of that is done. Not officially. Behind closed doors, it's a different story. Real blood magic can give you an edge, a leg up against your opponents. It's safe to assume that any mage of rank does it. The rest are quietly shut out of power, to put it bluntly.
You'd think the Templars would object.
I imagine they did, long ago. Once, their investigations might have been sincere. Then their balls were cut off. Too inconvenient. Nowadays, only the friendless are accused. And most of them probably innocent.
There must be some mages who oppose this.
Of course. I do. And I'm not entirely alone. Occasionally, there'll be a magister who makes noise. And then the reform talk begins. All very patriotic. Meanwhile, that magister will be quietly shunned. Chances are, surprise, it's learned he was a Maleficar all along. Most learn to keep quiet. Me? I enjoy the allure of pariahhood.
Anyone who talks about the Imperium mentions slavery. It's the center of the slave trade.
Ah. That is true.
And? Did you have slaves?
Not personally, but my family does and treats them well. Honestly, I never thought much about it until I came south. Back home, it's how it is. Slaves are everywhere. You don't question it. I'm not even certain many slaves do.
Well, we don't have slaves in the South.
In the south, you have alienages, slums, both human and elven. The desperate have no way out. Back home, a poor man can sell himself. As a slave, he could have a position of respect, comfort, and could even support a family. Some slaves are treated poorly, it's true. But do you honestly think inescapable poverty is better?
I suppose not, no.
I don't know what it's like to be a slave, true. I never thought about it until I saw how different it was here. But I suspect you don't know either. Nor should you believe that every tale of Tevinter excess is the norm.
That's all I wanted to know.
Fair enough.
It occurs to me that I barely know anything about you.
Beyond my being a mage from Tevinter, you mean?
Beyond that, yes.
And beyond my being so charming and well-dressed, which is obvious to anyone.
You certainly think highly of yourself.
It's true. I could be more modest, but I'd be lying.
Now, what was I talking about? Ah, yes, me. I am the scion of House Parvis, a product of generations of careful breeding and the repository of its hopes and dreams. Naturally, I despised it all. The lies, the scheming, the illusions of supremacy. That's Tevinter in a nutshell, isn't it? Needless to say, my family was not happy with my choices.
Why would your family be upset with your choices?
Because I rejected their idyllic plan. If they had their way, by now I'd be married to some unlucky girl from a powerful family. We'd live in luxurious despair, despising each other as I waited to take my father's place in the magisterium. I declined the honor, and thus it's best I'm far from home. Less of an embarrassment that way, you see?
What do you mean by generations of careful breeding?
The great families of Tevinter don't have children. They refine traits, weed out the undesirable, and promote the rest. My mother was chosen for my father because magic runs strongly in her blood. Never mind that they loathed each other. They wanted a son who could become Archon to make House Parvis the envy of the Imperium. They got me. A cautionary tale that you should be careful what you wish for.
I'm getting the impression that you don't care much for your homeland.
On the contrary, I care for my homeland a great deal. There's so much potential. Sadly, we squander it. We refuse to acknowledge how far we've fallen because pretending is easier. We pretend the Qunari can be beaten. We pretend that we're superior to everyone, even our own people. Not everyone feels that way. I don't. Sadly, we're the minority.
It just seems... so much of what you say about the Imperium is entirely negative.
It might sound that way. For all our faults, my people have many virtues. We are laden with history and culture. Tevinter is where Thedas truly began, remember? We treasure our past and preserve it. You can walk down a side street and find nothing built during the modern ages. And despite appearances, we care. Deeply. About everything. We have no reserve, not in war and not in love. If I truly believed my homeland was beyond all hope, I wouldn't miss it so much.
Why remain with the Inquisition? Why not go back to Tevinter?
I'm not exactly welcome back home. Not that it matters, I'm quite accustomed to being a pariah. It adds to my charm. I can do more for Tevinter here. If the Venatori succeed, it'll set my homeland back 1,000 years. I'm sure some magisters would disagree, but that's why we kill them.
I think I've heard enough.
That's too bad. I never tire of talking about myself.
Have you gone to see Alexius yet? He's in the cells.
Not yet, no. I saw him before they locked him up. He looked despondent, broken. Not the man I remember, nor the one I want to. I suppose the Inquisition will judge him eventually. I wonder if there's any chance they'll show him mercy. He hardly deserves it, but for Felix's sake. I can't help hoping there's something left of the man I once knew. So I take it you're Dalish? Is that the correct word here?
Yes, that's right.
We don't have Dalish clans coming northward, for obvious reasons. So I've never met one of your people before, although I've heard about them. A little. I hope this won't be an issue between us. I am here to help you deal with the Venatori, after all.
And I appreciate your help, Dorian.
Excellent. Mutual appreciation is a grand way to begin.
I should go.
Try not to kill anyone without me. Something you need?
I should...
Natural.
You can't be happy giving up your whole life for the Maker. I mean, look at the Chantry.
I am looking. Mother Giselle gives of herself and asks nothing in return.
We're not talking about Mother Giselle.
All men are the work of our Maker's hands. From the lowest slaves to the highest kings. Those who bring harm without provocation to the least of his children. Blessed are the righteous, the lights in the shadow. In their blood the Maker's will is written.
Flissus.
Greetings.
You must speak with most everyone here.
Hope and fear in equal measure. No one really knows. I imagine it's no better for you. You've got my sympathies, for what it's worth.
The chant of light. Only the word dispels the darkness
corrupt are they?
Nice work at Redcliffe. I could help the mages learn to work with Inquisition soldiers if you like. Not that the chief has any apostates in the group.
Iron Bull said the charges were at my disposal. Do you have any suggestions on how to use them?
The Templars have holed up in Thorinfar Redoubt. No idea what's happening inside. I could have some of the boys poke around. If nothing else, we get a better look at the land.
Can we talk about...
Best company you'll find from here. In my time with the chief, we've gone up against everything from bandits to magic trees. More expensive, but you'll never doubt we're worth it. Want to know anything in particular?
Do the chargers specialize in anything from a tactical standpoint?
Bull doesn't want us large enough to work as an army. We're better as shock troops, as skirmishers. We've got archers for hitting enemy infantry, Dalish with more archery, and Skinner and her people on the flanks. Rocky handles fortifications and traps, and Stitches keeps us all fighting. They mostly hold back. I'll lead the frontline fighters with Grim, and the chief goes wherever he can hit something.
Are there rules for how mercenaries operate?
If you don't want some noble to treat you like bandits, yes. There's also a code of conduct most companies hold to. Keeps things civilized on the battlefield. We accept surrenders for ransom from mercenaries, nobles, and soldiers wearing a lord's colors. Our prisoners are treated well, injuries tended. We'd want the same for any of ours who got captured.
You said something about everything from bandits to magic trees. I'll admit to some curiosity.
Right. Sylvans. That's what Dalish called them. Apparently spirits can possess trees, too. Some noble in the Dales, and they really don't like it when you call them Dalish nobles, had a haunted forest. His family had abandoned the land, but he wanted it back. The chief bought us all axes, and in we went. Between the axes and the torches, the Sylvans weren't too bad. The worst part was the squirrels.
We'll talk later.
They've got good form. Cullen's putting his Templar training to good use.
Did Cullen tell you he was a Templar? He's not wearing the armor.
He didn't have to. Might not be a Templar shield, but it's a Templar holding it. He angles the shield just a bit down. Helps direct fire or acid away, so it doesn't spray right into your face. Kalari learned the same thing when we trained to fight Tevinter mages. Your Templar's doing good work.
I'm impressed by what Cullen has accomplished with the troops.
Damn right. It takes time to build a group into a team, but he's got their loyalty. Now he just needs them to make a decent shield wall, and they'll be good to go. Biggest problem for the Inquisition right now isn't on the front line. It's at the top. You've got no leader, no Inquisitor.
Cassandra's been the driving force of this Inquisition. She's the leader in all but name.
Cassandra's a seeker. From what I gather, that's a bit like a Ben Hasrat. She's a good hunter and a great fighter, but she doesn't see the big picture. Too busy searching for answers. My people don't pick leaders from the strongest, or the smartest, or even the most talented. We pick the ones willing to make the hard decisions, and live with the consequences. Who knows? Maybe you sealed the breach. The Chantry gets off its ass and all those soldiers go home and get fat.
You think?
It could happen. It won't, but it could. So, that Tevinter guy sent you into the future?
I've got no problem with normal magic, but Tevinter goes beyond all reason.
I know, right? The Vints are always pushing. Anyway, I hope our new friends have what it takes to close the breach. Damn thing gives me a headache just looking at it. What can I do for you?
See you later.
See you.
Good day to you. Pass my thanks to the researchers. There was never going to be an easy answer to the mage dilemma. What you did for the mages took courage. You gave them a chance. Everyone deserves one. I'm here.
Let's talk about the Grey Wolf.
The Wardens. I'm afraid we're less exciting than we seem. As you...
Magic exists to serve man, and never to rule over him.
And what are we supposed to do, exactly?
What you always do. Complain.
We've already spoken with Commander Cullen. No one listens. We want better quarters. We want the Templars kept at a distance. And some respect for...
This is not the Circle. You mages are our allies, not our wards. Act like it.
How are we supposed to...
Deal with it. It never ends, evidently.
Is there an issue with the mages? Can I help?
The mages are here as equals. They need to get used to what that means. It is your doing, after all. You created this alliance.
Well, I hope it works. What other choice do we have?
Oh. I do sound like I'm blaming you, don't I? I don't disapprove. In fact, you did well. You made a decision when it needed to be made. And here we are. I wish I could say this was my doing.
We wouldn't be here at all if you hadn't stood up against the Chantry.
You're being kind.
You're discounting your role in this.
Let's close the breach. Then we can say how successful I was. Do you need something?
That's enough.
Another...
The mages are ready to approach the breach. I pray this will be enough to close it.
You weren't happy with how I brought in the mages. Do you have a problem with me as well?
Of course not. I have no intention of endangering your alliance, but I must ensure the safety of those here. That concern extends to the mages. They are putting themselves at risk for the Inquisition, as are you. Any precautions taken are meant to aid you, nothing more. I hope you will accept them as such.
Is there anything I should know?
I'm glad to have the charges on our side. Fool's men are professionals, despite evidence to the contrary.
Is there anything I should know?
Not at present.
That's all for now.
Should you require anything?
See reason, Lisette. We cannot stay here.
Why not? Word is that the mages will be joining us here in Haven. I hope you've chosen your allies wisely, Herald.
I will talk to...
Walk in the...
Go in peace, Herald of Andraste.
If Fiona and her malcontents are joining us as allies, we need to be prepared. Abominations are inevitable. Cullen doesn't have enough Templars to handle incidents. Some of the rank and file need to be trained.
These mages joined us freely. We don't need Templars to contain them.
My dear, I don't think you've grasped the magnitude of the situation. The veil is broken, and the raw power of the Fade rushes out like floodwaters through a shattered levee. You know as well as I do that mages attract demons where the veil is thin. And if demons can walk our world with no blood magic to summon them, how safe do you think our allies are? There has never been a greater threat to mages than the breach. Until it is closed, no one is safe.
You have a low opinion of your fellow mages?
It's not so much an opinion as grasping the obvious. Magic is dangerous, just as fire is dangerous. Anyone who forgets this truth gets burned.
The Dalish get along just fine without Templars or Circle Towers.
As I understand it, the elves limit their risk by refusing to have more than 3 mages in a clan. Tell me, what becomes of the Dalish youngster who is not appointed first or second?
If a clan can't raise the mage, they're sent to another that's in need of a first or second.
And if there are no clans in need of a new apprentice? For those who value survival, sentimentality is not an option. Tell me something. As you will no doubt have a hand in shaping it, what future do you see for mages?
Mages should be treated like anybody else.
How free did you feel living on the run, never straying too close to villages or staying in one place too long? Paint the cage any color you like. It is still a cage. It's something to consider, my dear.
Make her be with you. Maker be with you. Good luck sealing those rifts. Good luck sealing those rifts.
Mages. Lovely.
They should have this breach sealed soon enough.
I suppose their gold spent as well as anyone else's.
A learned child is a blessing upon his parents and onto the Maker. A learned child is a blessing upon his parents and onto the Maker.
Researcher Menave believes these notes could assist you.
If you find anything, please bring it in.
Magic exists to serve man and never to rule over him. Foul and corrupt are they who have taken his gift and turned it against his children. To rule over him. Foul and corrupt are they. Magic exists to serve man and never to rule over him.
Stay safe out there.
Magic exists to serve man and never to rule over him.
Oh my god, so apparently my settings have changed. Okay, I've been talking for a bit now, folks, and I have no idea if you guys actually fucking heard it. Because apparently OBS does this on occasion, where it's sporadic. There's no like rhyme or reason to it. Where they would just sporadically change my goddamn sentence. Like, oh my god. Oh my fucking god, that is pissing me off.
This might interest you, sir.
What is it?
You may want to look into this. Dispatch for you.
What is it?
This may be worthwhile.
Okay, so looking enough, it looks like the game audio had absolutely no issue. So thank God, you guys hear all the dialogue coming from the companions. So you just heard me talking about why it is that I don't really care for Vivienne or her view on mages. So this is one of the things I do dislike about playing on the PC, folks, is that there are times where I can't see the OBS, and so I don't know if there's any issues going on. But yeah, we're trying to, you know, discover all the regions. Well, we did level up, so we've accomplished that goal. Now we want this mana regeneration. Oh, that is a decent teleport. Right. This whole area down here hasn't... We haven't really searched down there. Oh, and you can't use a mount here. Really? Okay, yeah, we really can't use a mount. Now the reason why I'm having you guys watch me as I do this whole exploration thing is because there's potential dialogue between Dorian and Iron Bull, which I believe has the potential of being quite interesting, given that Dorian is from the Devinter and Iron Bull's people, like both their people are, like, are actively at war. That Fade Step ability would have come in much handier if we were here
This might interest you, sir.
during
What is it?
our initial visit. Okay, we're now heading here. There, we just completed Regions of the Mire. Well, we definitely haven't explored this. Like we've gotten close enough to it, obviously, for it to count. But I am very curious about it. Okay, there's a bear. Clearly a landmark point. There's a central point. Okay, so you still take fall damage even if you're teleporting down. Yeah, that bear's tough. That bear was just not leaving me alone. It was aggroed on me. But no, I'm actually really glad I picked up Fate Step. That's I feel like that's a staple for all mages to have. Okay.
Why is it always so cold? How do you Southerners stand it?
What's the matter? Not enough slaves around to rub your footsies?
My footsies are freezing, thank you.
So no way to access down that area. Okay, definitely doesn't look like it. Actually, well, there is actually. We have to go completely around. So the cooldown of abilities can be tied to combat. Okay, yeah, so clearly that was out of bounds. Alright, so that area is completely out of bounds. Let's check out this area.
Might be something here. Better take a closer look. There's my wake-up alarm. Alright, out of bounds. Wow, okay, now that way. Really? You have to completely walk around. Alright, let's check out this windmill. Oh, that looks like a landmark.
There we go. Okay. World map. There we go. All that's left now is the hinterlands, which surprisingly, and I thought we would have claimed all these locations by now, but we're missing one, and I have no idea where the hell it could be. Actually, hold on. There is this big grey patch right here, actually. Let's quickly fast travel to it. It still annoys me that the Ferelden locks is still fucking bugged, and the mod is no longer basically being supported. Like, there's no updates to it. Like, technically it doesn't even exist on Nexus. Like, the only way you can get it, like, I was able to grab it was through a link that BioWare posted, well, someone posted onto the wiki. But yeah, no, let's see here. Oh. Still loading. Here we go. It was just going to place a marker, just to make sure we don't get turned around. Now we're going to ignore the Grey Warden quest. Here we go. This was the landmark we were missing. Don't know how I've missed this for so long.
Safe travel, sir.
Because, like, again, like, we got 1,000 influence for this. And plus 2 power, like, it's... Yeah, it's not something you locate weapon. Yeah, it's not something that you want to miss out on. Like, they're simple quests, but, like, they do play a big part. Now we're just going to do blanking on the name. Yeah, we're going to do the operations real quick. And then I will probably end the recording so I can go get my brother. So we had a big lore dump from Dorian about how the Devinter really is. Now again, see, this is the thing that I do like, is he acknowledges that the Devinter is both bad and good. Like, he points out all the good stuff as well, but he also points out, like, oh yeah, like, don't get me wrong, like, they're similar to how there's assholes here that will break the law, there's assholes there that will break the law. Like, it's like the whole blood magic conversation you have with him. Like, he's like, oh yeah, we frown upon, like, you know, like, blood sacrifices, demon summoning, and we frown upon, like, you know, basically taking the blood of people that are not willing. But, like, yeah, no, it's like, there are going to be assholes that will do it behind closed doors.
Much appreciated.
So, again, it's all just ties back to why I don't support.
You've never been to a circle, as far as I can tell, yet you're remarkably skilled. Were you self-taught?
The Dalish have their own traditions, you know. The Circle isn't the only authority on magic.
I have heard about the traditions of magic among the Dalish keepers, but it's all third-hand. In my own experience, nothing is more deadly to a young mage than a lack of knowledge, which makes the current state of things precarious. What do you imagine will happen if the circles are not restored? Do you foresee the Dalish taking us all under their wing?
Mages deserve the same freedom as anyone else.
I hear that so often. It must be a great comfort to the common folk to know that their survival is trivial compared to our freedom. I'm sure that makes everything better. Justinia's death has shattered the balance of power in Thedas. If it is not restored quickly, countless lives will be lost. Mages, Templars, innocent people of all kinds now look to the Inquisition to decide their fate.
I'll try not to let them down.
Failure is a luxury we cannot afford, my dear. For almost 1,000 years, the world believed it was in the hands of the Maker. And now many believe you are the agent of his will. Whatever the truth is, that belief gives you power.
If that's true, then I'll put it to good use.
I suppose we'll see. I've stolen enough of your time, my dear. Don't let me keep you. Off to another crisis, my dear. It has taken its toll on you.
How can you possibly oppose freedom for your own people?
Perhaps the Dalish are too isolated to grasp the realities of this world. All mages live lives of limited possibilities. We are denied fairness due to an accident of birth, but no one said that life was fair. The world is not made up of mages and Templars or circles and chantries. There is no us and no them. There are only people. People who must share a world which is not portioned equally among all. My own people want a larger share of the world, uncaring that they have already been granted.
Oh, she calls me at the worst time. Okay, so she talks about how our character has a limited point of view, which is hilarious because from a player perspective, we don't. We have multiple instances of this circle mages being abused and treated, you know, very unfairly. And she equates to mages wanting their freedom with mages wanting a larger share of the world. Like, no, that's not what the mages are asking for. All mages want is to be free. They want to be able to leave the tower. They don't want to be forced to live basically in school for the rest of their lives under the supervision of soldiers in heavy armor that at a moment's notice will kill them, and in some cases have abused their power, their position of power, and have treated them as monsters and horribly. And then, and if you don't give the Templars what they want, you run the risk of losing your emotions and your dreams. Basically, you from what we've seen of Tranquil Mages, you essentially basically lose your identity, what makes you you. Like, oh my god. Also, and keep in mind, there's also the right of annulment, which is if the Templar, like, at a moment's notice, some Templar, like, if enough Templars agree, and then if the head of the Templars of the Circle of Magi agree, they can just execute everyone. Like, let's keep that in mind, folks. And all of this is done in the sense of because mages can fling fireballs or whatever. Like, again, you know, she's talking about, like, oh yeah, they need to be educated. Like, the Deventer has schools. It's baffling that we have all that, like, there's so much evidence in the world of Dragon Age that the Circle of Towers, the way the Circle of Mages are, is bad. It is consistently portrayed this way through every bit of information that we get, from overhearing NPCs talk, from our own experience playing in missions involving the Circle of Magi, from codex entries. Yet, we have this character who is the first enchanter of a Circle of Magi, who is in... Okay, she's the City of Valais, possibly more... has a bit more etiquette and a bit more... it probably is a nicer place to live. But keep in mind, it's also a place to have indentured servitude and whatnot, where, like, again, like, if you play Dragon Age Origins, you learn that, like, they have slaves in all but name. And essentially, like, it's just, like, again, it's not a perfect system. It is flawed. And that's the whole point. Like, that is why I support mages throughout all these games, is because, yeah, because the system is fucked up. Like, you're sentencing these people to essentially life in prison. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a nice looking prison. You get an education, you get 3 square meals a day, but it is still a fucking prison. Now, don't get me wrong, the Deventer Imperium has always been portrayed, up until this game, as the complete bad guys. They are awful. There's blood magic and demon summoning everywhere. Now, again, we don't really get to see that, and we never really get a one-on-one dialogue with a Deventer character, but we do in this game, and it's just very fascinating that we have Dorian, our fellow mage, who talks about what Deventer is actually like, and how, yeah, just because you're a mage, being a mage doesn't mean you're automatically, like, above everyone else. There's still going to be people above you. And then there's, like, also, like, that they still have certain rules, and that they have academies where you know, learn to control your magic, but it's not a prison. And then then also we have the free marches, where the most extreme situation happens, which is, you know, Kirkwall in Dragon Age 2, where, like, dear God, the rampant abuse there. It's just, like... So, again, I just find it hilarious that she's talking about how our character has a narrow point of view, but, again, we have the benefit of being, like, you know, it's a video game. We have the benefit of seeing the wider picture. But like, it's just baffling that she is so pretentious, you know, like it's just like, dear God.
Granting mages freedom doesn't take freedom from anyone else.
But that's precisely what it does, my dear. The wolves howl and claw at the fences that hold them back. Take pity and you let them loose among the lambs. And what do the sheep do? Panic. And the scent of their fear drives the wolves to attack.
See, she tries to paint her arguments in pretty words, but no, it's not. She's equating that all mages seek to rule men, but that's not what they're arguing. Like, what the hell? And also, like, there are plenty of mages that are, like, you know, not quite skilled. Like, we have a mage that is helping us with the research. We give her all, you know, the remains of creatures, and she gives us benefits because she admits she doesn't have a talent for magic, you know, and even though she was a circle mage. So the idea of, like, that all mages want to rule over people, and that all mages are these demigod-like beings that can call down fireballs is just nonsense.
It will take time, but people can learn not to fear magic.
One cannot unlearn a primal fear. Like fire or heights, it is not about prejudice. It is about survival. I care for the witch hunts that will come. I care for the angry mobs who string up mages on gibbets for the vultures. I care that my stupid brethren will kill and be killed by frightened people defending their families from monsters. I will stand in opposition to that, whatever you may do. Oh, darling, you look terrible.
Like, she is all but certain that mages are going to abuse the freedom that they've been given.
You return.
And she acts like it's all mages. Like, oh my fucking God.
Apothecary Adon says you'll have the reagents
If you find anything, please bring it in.
Like, this is the mage.
Can I help you with something?
She says she has no real talent. Now, and she cares for the Tranquil, like, and the Tranquil, she literally explains to us that the Tranquil, which is what the Templars and the Chantries sometimes do to mages, would literally allow themselves to starve without giving, like, proper direction. So, like, again, it's just baffling. And then we have Dorian here, who, yes, again, he explains how the Devinter Imperium should not be an ideal example. And again, I completely agree. It is a corrupt system, highly corrupt. It is definitely not the system that should be implemented.
Support for the mages likely earned you enemies. Our agents will monitor the situation. If the most opposed can be identified, we may still turn this to our advantage.
You're not planning assassinations, are you?
I was planning to unleash Josephine on them. She kills with kindness. Regardless, I applaud you for the courage to stand up for the mages.
I'll leave you to...
Did you need something?
Yeah, but yeah, Dorian talks about, like, how his people's government is flawed and whatnot, but also he is under no delusion that also it's completely bad and that we need Circle of Magi. He probably does believe in the Circle of Magi, but as schools, you know, he is open to the idea of whatnot, but Vivian is just not. With her, she's just like, oh no, they will abuse it. Oh my God. Oh, she is like, oh my God, like, it's just... There we go. Alright. Now this is a very long video, folks. We had a lot of dialogue with companions. We've completed up some quests. Like, quite literally all that, we have done now everything. Alright, I'm going to end this video. And then we will tackle In Your Heart Shall Burn. I'm the Celtic Nerd. Sign out. One name, one sky.